Walter's Happy Hour runs Monday through Friday from 4 to 7 p.m. The $5 Happy Hour menu includes the Meatball Trio and select draft beers.
A massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, especially these days. 8 different settings, adjustable intensity, plus it's heated, and it just feels so good. Yes, a massage chair might seem a bit extravagant, but when it can come with a car, suddenly it seems quite practical. The all-new 2025 Volkswagen Tiguan, packed with premium features like available massaging front seats, it only feels extravagant.
Irvin's delivery. And back hits a ground ball to third, right at Brady House. He's up with it, throws across to first. It's an on-target, strong throw to Andres Chaparro. Welcome to the big leagues, Brady House. It took all of 4 pitches for House to get involved. He handles his first chance flawlessly. Pitch on 0-1. Wood blasts one to left field deep. Beck going back at the warning track, looking up, and it's gone! And the Nats are in front. James Wood goes into the first row in left field in section 104. And the Nats are on top for the first time tonight, 4-3. That's number 18 for James Wood. The 2-2. Swinging a long drive, left center field. Way back it goes. Young at the wall, climbing the wall. It's gone, and the game is tied. Finnegan's allowed his first home run of the season, and it's a game-tying home run. So it's 4-4 here in the ninth. Goodman's second of the night as he golfed a 2-2 fastball just over the fence in left center. So Finnegan coming set, the 1-2 on the way. Swinging a fly ball deep right field. Lile going back at the track. He leaps and he can't get it. It's gone into the bullpen. And the Rockies lead at 6-4. A 2-run homer for Mickey Moniak. Finnegan, who had not given up a home run all season, has surrendered 2 here in the ninth.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals have clinched having a losing homestand on what was supposed to be a homestand on which they beat up on 2 bad teams. Monday evening, a 6-4 loss to the MLB worst Colorado Rockies at Nationals Park in Game 1 of a 4-game series. This was a game in which the Nats blew a 4-3 ninth-inning lead. Things are not getting better here. The Nats now are at a new low point in MLB's 2025 regular season, 12 games below 500, 30-42. This with a run differential of -65. The Rockies in this regular season now are an MLB worst 15-57, and the Nats now are 0-4 on this 7-game homestand against the National League East worst Miami Marlins and MLB worst Colorado Rockies. But hey, at least Brady House has been called up. You are angry. We want to hear from you. You can find us on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We appreciate all of the feedback we have been getting. A lot of smart, insightful observations on what's going on with the Nats right now. Also, we have a website you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat podcast t-shirt. Major roster news for the Nats over Sunday and Monday. We will get to all of that, but Nats closer Kyle Finnegan blew this game on Monday evening. 2 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 3 innings. Brad Lord was great. 2 perfect innings with 2 swinging strikeouts, but Kyle Finnegan blew the save chance. He in the top of the ninth allowed 3 runs on 2 home runs. Mark, Finnegan had not given up a home run the entire regular season. He had been excellent in that regard, but he gives up 2 homers on Monday evening, and the Nats losing streak now at 9.
And I just looked this up, Al. It's now matches the 2nd longest losing streak in team history. It's been done now 4 times, a 9-game losing streak. Recently in 2022, that was not a good year for the team. They lost over 100 games. And the only other times they've ever lost 9 in a row, it actually happened 3 separate times in 2008, the worst of them being a 12-game losing streak that remains the longest in team history. You might remember the 2008 team also lost 100 games. I certainly don't hope that the 2025 Nationals lose 100 games, but if history repeats itself, the only teams they've ever had to have this kind of losing streak have gone on to 100 losses. And this one was a gut punch, obviously. because they're in position, they're going to win the game, finally snap the streak, and then it's over in a snap. And as you said, Finnegan, while he hadn't been great every time out there, he had not done this. And he got beat twice, and you could see his reactions to it. They were not pitches where he wanted to put them, and you saw the result. And he took this one entirely on himself for costing them the win. He felt like everyone else did their job and put him in position to win, and he just didn't do his job.
Finnegan gave up a leadoff home run by Hunter Goodman to center field to tie the game at 4, despite Goodman having been down in the count at 1.12. And Finnegan gave up a 2-out, 2-run homer by Mickey Moniak to right field on a 1-2 pitch for a 6-4 Rockies lead. So in each instance, Finnegan had the guy down, had Goodman down 1-2, had Moniak down 1-2, failed to put away each guy. Each guy ended up hitting a home run. Finnegan for this regular season, in case you're curious, 5 blown saves now, 18 for 23 on saves, ERA of 3.12, whip of 1.31. But, you know, there's some irony here because Daniel Murphy was at Nationals Park on Sunday, and there is a Murphy's Law that seemingly is in effect right now with the Nats, where like anything that can go wrong is going wrong. And what happened on Monday evening really reeked of that, because the offense certainly was not great, but it at least was, shall we say, palatable. I mean, 2 home runs, 5 walks, 4 runs. You can live with those things. Jake Irvin certainly was not lights out, but, he quote unquote put the Nats in a position to be in the game. Brad Lord was outstanding out of the bullpen. So the setup was there for the Nats to end this 8-game losing streak. You're facing, obviously, a horrendous team in the Rockies. And then that which could go wrong did go wrong. And right now, it just feels like nothing is going well for the Nats. I mean, this set up to be a feel-good night. You had the MLB regular season debut of Brady House. You had the return to the majors of Daylen Lile. James Wood homered, Lyle homered. Did some good stuff happening in this game, and it just was all for naught with what ended up happening in that top of the ninth.
And that's why I actually think, and maybe this is a bizarre way of looking at it, but I feel like even within the clubhouse, they felt the same way, that this one didn't quite hurt them or bother them in the way that a lot of the previous 8 did. Because, as you just said, there were a lot of good things that happened in this game, especially from the young players who put them in a position to win. And you can never pin any one game on one player, but this is as close as you can get to that, because it was literally just the last pitcher for them in the 9th inning who gave up the 3 runs and cost them the game. And if he does his job, they win the game. We're having a very different conversation right now. And so as much as it stung, I think once the initial sting kind of wore off, there was almost more of a sense of almost like, well, you shrug it off in a way, because this wasn't the kind of losses we saw against the Marlins or some of these other games. This was a, for the most part, well-played game that went south on them because one guy didn't do his job at the end. Now, could they have scored more than 4 runs off the worst pitching staff in baseball? Yeah. Could they have done anything offensively after the 5th inning? Yeah, of course. They could have given Finnegan way more cushion than that. But they still were in position. And as I said, there were a lot of good things to point to, especially from young players. And so I actually think this one doesn't hurt as much, even though in the moment, it probably hurt more than any of the previous ones.
Yeah, and what's obviously tough is that this is part of a 9-game losing streak, right? If this is part of like a 2 or 3-game losing streak, I think it's easier to focus on the positives. But when you're in a rut like this, man, it just feels like nothing's going right. And, to go back to this homestand, I mean, this was not supposed to be a homestand that you start off 0-4. Like, this is not some daunting homestand. You're facing the 2 worst teams in the National League, and you're 0-4 on this 7-game homestand. The Nats are not far from being in last place in the National League East. The Nats are just a game ahead of the Marlins in terms of being next to last in the division right now. So the Nats offense in this game, 4 runs on just 4 hits. 3 of them were extra base hits. Like I said, the Nats had 2 homers, a double, and a single. Drew 5 walks, but went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position. We had the big roster news for the Nats over Sunday and Monday. The Nats on Sunday evening announced having optioned outfielder Robert Hassell III and infielder Jose Tena to AAA-Rochester. And the Nats on Monday afternoon announced having selected the contract of third baseman Brady House from AAA-Rochester, having recalled outfielder Daylen Lile from AAA-Rochester, and having designated infielder Juan Yepes for assignment. So a key prospect in Hassell, who had been struggling, gets sent back to Rochester, but another key prospect in Lile is brought back up from Rochester. And yes, Brady House has been promoted. Age 22 season, Nats took him with the number 11 overall pick in the 2021 MLB draft out of a high school in Georgia. He is the number 91 overall prospect in baseball per MLB Pipeline, the number 98 overall prospect in baseball per Baseball America. He was doing really well for Rochester this season, 283 plate appearances, OPS of 872. And House on Monday evening as the Nats starting third baseman and number 6 batter went 0 for 3 with a walk, an impressive walk. Bottom of the fourth, drew a 2-out walk despite having been down in the count at 1.02. But he also looked quite comfortable defensively at third base. And Davey Martinez prior to the game told you guys that Brady House now is entrenched as the number 1 third baseman, the quote-unquote everyday third baseman for the Nats. I was very happy to hear that. That should be the case. That is the case here moving forward.
Yeah, and it's, for the most part, how they've treated any of their top prospects that they bring them up. When they make that move, they're serious about it. And okay, kid, the job is yours. Go out there and do what you do. And I thought this was, while the final stat line isn't going to wow you or be anything memorable to look back on, I think if you just watched Brady House play this game, the biggest takeaway is he looked like he belonged. And I think that's really important. That walk was a great at-bat and a sign of what he talked with us before the game about his biggest area of development this season at AAA, his plate discipline, not chasing out of the zone. He's down 0-2. He takes 4 straight balls. How many guys with way more experience than Brady House have we seen on this team not be able to do something like that? That to me was really impressive. And the 9th inning at bat, I know the result is a double play, and that was a killer because you're thinking, hey, we may actually get the fairy tale ending here in spite of what happened at the top of the 9th. But that was an 8-pitch at bat itself against a guy throwing 101, and he swung at the right pitches. He took the right pitches. He just didn't connect on that one pitch. So I think there was a lot to like there. Defensively, looked very comfortable, especially charging in on a slow roller and making the on-the-run throw to first. He was right on the money. I mean, everything about that said to me, this kid belongs here. And I think that was the real question. Just turned 22. When I saw him in spring training, certainly last year, and even to an extent this year, he still looked kind of like a child among adults. I didn't see that from him in this one, both in the clubhouse and how he dealt with us, and then certainly on the field with how he dealt with the situation with the game. So off and running, let's see how he does now. Got everything out of the way, still needs his first hit, of course, but if it's possible to be encouraged by an 0 for night at the plate, I really was from what I saw from Brady House in this game.
Well, it's exciting to have him here. And, we have said this, and I do believe this. I mean, one guy isn't going to fix all of this, but one guy certainly can help. And, you think about the Nats since Anthony Rendon left via free agency in December 2019, there has been a black hole at third base. And maybe, just maybe, Brady House can be the guy to fix that. And his defensive nimbleness does stand out. He's listed as being 6'4" and 200 plus pounds. He can move. This guy's an athlete. So impressive to see him do as he did defensively in this game. Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. July 4th weekend is around the corner, and for many people, that means that summer vacation is coming up. Will your windows keep your home protected while you're away? Save yourself the headache of coming home to a potential break-in by replacing your windows today with Window Nation windows. Right now, when you buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free, plus you get a free exterior door when you purchase a house full of windows. And on top of that, you won't have to put any money down, pay any interest, or deal with any monthly payments for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. In this economy, what Window Nation is offering right now is a great deal. Your electricity bill is another good indicator of how well your windows are working, especially with summer temperatures here to stay. Lucky for you, Window Nation offers top quality, energy efficient vinyl windows built to withstand the sun's heat and keep your home cool. And did I mention that Window Nation windows come with a lifetime warranty? Don't miss your chance to protect and upgrade your home with Window Nation windows. Buy 4 windows, get 4 windows free now through June 30th. And remember, you won't pay a thing for 24 months. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Carson Palmquist, side-arming left-hander, delivers home. Swinging a high drive, right field deep for Lile. Back goes the right fielder Moniak, looking up, and there is Lyle's first Major League home run. That's into the second deck above the Nationals bullpen. It's now the Rockies 3, the Nationals 2. Congratulations, Daylen Lile. He takes the trip around the bases for the first time in the major leagues, and there was no doubt about that one.
But, you know, in a lot of ways, Daylen Lile stole the show in terms of Nats prospects summoned from AAA-Rochester over the last day or so here. Lile on Monday evening as the Nats starting right fielder and number 8 batter, 1 for 3 with a solo homer. He and the Nats 3-run fifth had a leadoff homer to the second deck in right field to cut the Nats deficit to 3-2. The homer went a projected 412 feet per Statcast, was his first major league regular season home run. And Lile in this game, multiple impressive exit velocities per Statcast, 104.8 miles per hour on the homer, 104.6 miles per hour on a lineout in the 7th inning. Now, this, of course, is the second stint for Lile at the major league level here this regular season. His first stint was short, May 23rd to June 6th, 36 plate appearances, OPS of just 612. But, of course, that was a small sample size. So he's back up rather quickly. And, man, he looked good in this game.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And it really was a continuation of what we saw the first time around when he hit a bunch of balls during that first stint that off the bat you thought were going to be home runs. I think he thought they were going to be home runs, and he kept coming up just short. Hit a bunch of doubles, hit a triple off the wall, I think. So when he got this one, and he knew it right away, and it landed in the second deck, so there was no doubt about it. He said it felt good to finally be able to run around the bases like that. And in his final at bat, he actually pulled one foul that wasn't by much. That was almost his second home run as well. You can see the electricity he can generate with the swing of a bat for a guy who's not physically imposing like a James Wood. He's a short, compact hitter, but he's got quick hands. The homer he hit was on a pitch inside that he turned on to do that. There's a lot to like. You can see why within the organization, even outside the organization, there's been a lot of positive talk about this kid for several years now. Now, it's up to him to do it consistently. In that first stint, he had his moments, yes, but the bottom line wasn't great, and there was some inconsistency from day to day and at bat to at bat. He's going to get another opportunity here now to do it. We'll see what he can do with it, at least until Dylan Cruz comes back. Good for him for coming through like that. And I thought it was interesting, Brady House, for all the attention that was on him, he was most excited about what Daylen Lile did. They've known each other a long time. He said they played travel ball together. So they've been together a long time. And that was a cool moment, not just for Daylen, but I think Brady House was kind of vicariously living through what Daylen Lile did to hit his first homer.
And also homering for the Nats on Monday evening, oh, by the way, was James Wood. He is the Nats starting DH and number 2 batter, went 2 for 3 with a 2-run homer, a double, and a walk. Did get thrown out in an attempted steal of second base, but Wood in the Nats 3-run fifth, a 1-out opposite field, a 2-run homer to left field for a 4-3 Nats lead. So Wood now for this regular season, OPS of 928, number 1 among all qualified Nats players, and the home run total now is at 18, number 1 among all Nats players. We did again see C.J. Abrams in the number 3 spot. He went 0 for 3. But he drew a walk and had 2 stolen bases in more or less scoring a run by himself at one point in this game. He scored on an RBI sac fly by Ahmed Rosario. But it's interesting to me, with Abrams lately not batting in the 1 spot, we did see James Wood really thrive in the 1 spot earlier this season. Do you think Davey Martinez has been tempted to put Wood back in that number 1 spot? We have been seeing Alex Cole in that number 1 spot in recent days.
Yeah, maybe. And perhaps once they face a right-hander again, we will see that, because I'm guessing we won't see Alex Cole leading off. We're maybe not even playing against the right-hander. But by the same token, I think the whole idea of this is, who are the two guys that you feel like are really producing right now at the plate? James Wood and CJ Abrams. Well, get them up there with guys on base so you might actually do some damage. And lo and behold, James Wood didn't just hit a home run. He hit a 2-run homer because Call was on base in front of him. So I think that's the idea, what they want to do. We'll see what happens when they face a right-hander here. I guess you say some positive results, but they've still lost both games, haven't scored a whole lot. I don't know that Abrams batting third has done a lot for them, but I don't know how much you want to judge on 2 games so far. I just know this. James Wood is still tearing the cover off the ball, and CJ Abrams is playing really well now. And so after that slump that had us worried, maybe he's not an all-star, maybe he's falling back into the traps we saw in the second half of last year, he's playing well again, and he made a play in the field in this game that might be the best one we've seen from him this year, maybe one of the best plays we've seen from him at all at shortstop since he joined the Nationals.
The 1-2, hit on the ground up the middle. Abrams dives, he's got it. He pops up, he throws, but it's off target. But Chaparro gets his foot on the bag just in time to get the sliding back. What a play by Abrams.
A play to diving to his left, up on his feet, strong throw. That was outstanding.
Yeah, Abrams for the last week or so has been back at the level he was at earlier this season, no doubt. I do want to note this, though. With the Nats offense in this game, Riley Adams, he again was the Nats starting catcher. We continued to see a lot of Adams and not nearly as much of Keibert Ruiz. I know some of that, maybe most of that, is due to the Nats facing all of these left-handed starting pitchers. But look, if Keibert Ruiz was doing better, we'd be seeing more of him. But the point here is that Riley Adams is not doing well. You could argue he's doing worse than Keibert Ruiz. Although, when you enter defense into the equation, it really becomes complicated. But neither guy is doing well would be the point. But Adams on Monday evening as the Nats starting catcher, number 7 batter, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Riley Adams, this regular season, 56 plate appearances. The OPS now is down at 325. We had the Nats signing Wilson Ramos to a ceremonial one-day contract and him retiring on Sunday. You wonder if maybe we could extend that contract to 2 days or 3 days or 4. I mean, I can't remember the Nats having a worse catching situation in a season than what this team has right now. Keibert Ruiz and Riley Adams, at least so far this season, have combined for really just some awful overall production for the Nats at that catching position.
This has gone under the radar a little bit, but Riley Adams is 0 for his last 30. 30, okay? That's a big number. He drew a walk the other day, which was big. First walk he's drawn all year. He hasn't done anything else. And it's one thing if you're hitting the ball hard or you feel like there's good quality at bats. It's not. It's a lot of quick 3-pitch at bats, strikeouts. It's not happening right now for him. And it's been a while since we really said, hey, this guy has shown some promise at the plate. I know there was a point that everyone's saying, this guy should play more. Maybe put him at first base. Let him DH. He's an offensive threat. He has not been that guy in quite a while. He's out of options. That's probably the number one reason we haven't seen them make a move there yet. And it's not like Drew Millis at AAA is just banging on the door saying, you got to bring me up. But at some point, you can't live with that forever. And they may have to cut bait with him at some point here. It is not going well. He is not a better option than Keibert Ruiz right now. Lefty, righty, who cares? That doesn't matter. And you saw when it came down to the 9th inning, he was getting pinch hit for no matter what. And it wasn't with Ruiz. It was with Josh Bell, who hasn't exactly been tearing it up himself, but it was Bell who got the final at-bat of the game. Riley Adams is in a really bad spot right now, and it does leave me wondering how much longer they can go on with that.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 6-4 loss to the Rockies on Monday evening was Jake Irvin. 3 runs in 6 innings, 5 strikeouts versus 1 walk. Gave up 5 hits, which were a home run, a triple, a double, and 2 singles. He threw a lot of strikes, 91 pitches, 61 strikes, 30 balls. But Irvin again struggled in a first inning. Top of the first, he allowed 2 runs. He gave up a 1-out 2-run homer by Hunter Goodman to left center field for a 2-0 Rockies lead, despite having had him down in the count at 1.02. So Jake Irvin now for this regular season, 15 starts, first inning ERA of 10.9. 1.80. The overall ERA is 4.23, but the first inning struggles continue, and his first inning ERA now is worse than that of Mitchell Parker. When we talk about this first inning ERA thing, we tend to think of Parker having the bigger problem, but that's not really the case anymore. Your Jake Irvin first inning ERA again is 10.80. Parker's is 9.64. So each guy has a first inning problem, but Irvin's now actually has been more pronounced than Parker's has been.
And even more dramatic than Parker is that Irvin has been really good after that first inning. His ERA beyond the first inning is 2.70. That's excellent. And so we have seen this from him before. Give up a couple of early runs and then pitch like locked down. After that, it was one run and he made it through the sixth inning on 91 pitches. And so he was actually quite encouraged by it. He credited the hitter, Hunter Goodman, with tagging a pretty good pitch, he felt like, for the home run. He wasn't all that discouraged by that, even though it was another first inning run given up. But he was excellent after that. And you just got to find a way, whatever that is, to get through that first frame, minimize the damage. It's not uncommon. I think a lot of great pitchers, you've always said, if you're going to get them early, get them in the first inning. But you know, you can live with, say, a 5 ERA or even a 6 ERA in the first inning if you're really good after that. But 10 is pretty hard to fathom. He's got to try to figure that out. We're not going down the opener route again, like we discussed with Parker. It's not going to happen. I don't think that's what the issue is. It's just a matter of him being aggressive from the start, executing pitches from the start, having a feel for it from the start, and then continuing it through the rest of his outing.
Hey, Nats Chat, here to talk about LinkedIn Jobs. You've been hearing the commercial throughout the season, and we'll give you the promo code at the end for our listeners, such as small business owners who want to aim to make that right hire. Let's talk about a bigger business that needs to make the right selection, and that is the Washington Nationals at next month's MLB draft. Keith Law of The Athletic had a mock draft that came out in mid-June, and he has Ava Arquette, the Oregon State star shortstop, going first to the Nationals. Arquette's currently playing in the College World Series in Omaha. The second pick was Liam Doyle, left-handed starter for Tennessee, just ahead of fellow SEC starting pitcher Kate Anderson from LSU. Ethan Holiday, who many have projected to go number 1 to the Nationals, still in high school in Oklahoma, brother of Jackson, son of Matt. He's going fourth, according to Keith Law. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's linkedin.com/natschat to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, fellas, I need you to stop what you're doing and go download Prize Picks if you haven't already. Because once you download Prize Picks and use code BACKYARD, you get $50 on us once you place the first $5 lineup. And in that lineup, the reason I love it so much, because all you have to do is place more or less on whatever player you want to rock with that night. And you can do it for as many players or as little players as you like. And it doesn't matter if I'm watching basketball, hockey, golf, baseball, esports, it doesn't matter. I can put them all in my lineup. The reason I like firing on Prize Picks so much during the summer is because I travel all the time, and Prize Picks is available in more than 28 states, including California, which I love summers in California. So I can fire on Prize Picks with all my friends and sweat out the games with them. And it doesn't matter what we're watching, we always get to enjoy the game a little bit more. And lastly, fellas, there's also a special going on during basketball playoffs. Every time you do a $5 3-pick basketball flex play during the playoffs, you automatically get entered in the Prize Picks sweepstakes for courtside tickets to the finals. So download the app today and use code BACKYARD to get $50 instantly after you play the first $5 lineup. That's code BACKYARD to get $50 instantly after you play the first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
0-1 on the way to Josh, and Bell grounds one up the first base line. It's fair, diving stop for Tolia, underhand shovel toss to Halverson at the bag. It's in time for the out, and the Rockies come back and beat the Nationals 6-4. The Nationals' losing streak has reached 9 games. They had the lead in the ninth, but couldn't close it down, and a real tough loss, spoiling Brady House's big league debut, as the Nationals now 0-4 on this homestand and 9 consecutive losses overall.
Official attendance for this game on Monday evening, 11,370. And if you happen to see the stands at first pitch, it looked like there were about 16 people in the ballpark. So I know the weather wasn't perfect on Monday evening, but in case you're curious, there was no Brady House bounce in terms of attendance for this game. We also, since we last spoke on the podcast, have had a few items via the Washington Post that speak to, let's be honest, the ugliness that may well be transpiring behind the scenes. It's always a little tricky with this stuff, but we had this from Nats insider Andrew Golden of the Washington Post on Sunday evening. This regarding the now infamous Davey Martinez comments during his postgame press conference on Saturday afternoon, putting the onus on the players as opposed to the coaches. Wrote Golden, quote, multiple people familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the players took notice of Martinez's comments. One person said players were shocked, dismayed, and pissed. Before Sunday's game, members of the Nationals front office staff, including general manager Mike Rizzo, were around and chatting with players, which is atypical, end quote. So we had that. And then we had this from Chelsea Janes of the Washington Post in a piece that came out, at least was out on Monday. Quote, the Lerner family conglomerate has recently been so bound by inertia that more than one person in the organization has wondered whether anything short of scandal would push it to make changes to on-field or front office leadership at all, let alone commit hundreds of millions to the kind of players that would help the young Nationals transform the way Jason Worth and Adam LaRoche did in the good old days, end quote. So, you can take these things however you want, but it just speaks to this overall feeling of not just the team struggling off the field, but at least a perception or a fear that things are ugly off the field or that things aren't well off the field. And that's why, to me right now, it feels different. Like, this is not the Nats struggling in 21 or 22 or 23 or last season. This is a 9-game losing streak that, A, is happening while the Nats are in the midst of this homestand against two bad teams. But also now there is other stuff. There's off-the-field stuff. We did not really have off-the-field stuff in recent years. We right now have off-the-field stuff, and that is new, and that obviously is not good.
Right. And I think what I would say to all that is it feels like, I think everybody around the team has felt the same way, that they've just been kind of stuck in a holding pattern for several years now. You had the start of the rebuild, of course, and you knew that was going to take time. But along the way, you also had this question of ownership saying, we're looking to sell the team. And then they didn't. And they said, well, no, actually, we're not looking to sell the team anymore. Okay, well, maybe that means they're going to start operating like they did in the glory days of a decade ago. And they haven't done that yet. And there's been thought, well, they're waiting to see more evidence on the field and then maybe they'll do it. But then maybe they aren't ever going to go back to spending money again. And you have a GM who's been here for a very long time and he's been extended a few times, but no real long-term commitment. And a manager who was extended, but now was entering his contract year as well. And it's just felt, I think, to everyone like this interminable holding pattern. And you kept asking yourself, at some point, is something big going to happen? Whatever that is. And it could be something negative. It could be firings. It could be massive changes. It could be a sale of the team. Or it could be something positive. It can be, we're all in. We're spending money on this again. We're extending this guy. We're signing that guy, whatever it is. We're renaming the stadium. We're selling a jersey patch, things that bring in revenue. And it just hasn't happened, any of it, good or bad. It's like they're just stuck in the mud. And I think a lot of people who work for the team in a lot of capacities have just been waiting all this time for something to happen. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe the events of the last week or two will spur something to happen. Again, it could be a lot of different things. It could be good. It could be bad. But it does feel like eventually something has to happen. Are they just going to stay stuck in the mud? Are they going to just continue doing the same thing they've been doing here for several years? Or is somebody in a position of authority going to make some kind of bold move that says, you know what, this isn't good enough. We need to do better in whatever capacity. And so we'll see. It feels like they're potentially closer to whatever that move would be than they have been in a while. But would it shock me if they do nothing again? No, it wouldn't. Because the direction from the top has been, I think the word you used there was inertia, very little of consequence has happened on a grand scale with this organization in quite some time.
What was so troubling about what Chelsea wrote is that it speaks to a fear that I think a lot of Nats fans have, and that is that the Lerner ownership group is checked out, that at least some of the people in the group don't even want to be owning the team anymore, but that there is this general satisfaction of, okay, we got our World Series championship before the patriarch Ted passed away, and now we're just going to kind of coast here until we finally get what we want to sell this team, and then we'll sell the team. But until then, we're not budging in terms of spending big money or going all in the way that we used to be going all in. And that was a concerning item, I thought, from Chelsea Janes in what she wrote. And to what Andrew Golden reported on Sunday evening, look, whether it's true or not that a majority of Nats players are mad at Davey Martinez. And Andrew did not say that a majority of players were mad. He said that multiple people familiar with the situation who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the players took notice of Martinez's comments. One person said players were, quote, shocked, dismayed, and pissed, end quote. Here's the thing. Whether that stuff is true or not, you have to ask yourself this. Who's giving this to Andrew? Who's leaking this to Andrew? I know this having covered and talked about the NFL team of Washington, D.C. for years now. When the leaking starts is when the problems really start. It's one thing to be losing. When the leaking starts, when you start getting anonymous quote this, anonymous source that, that's when you really start to have problems. Because, look, Mike Rizzo, Davey Martinez, they're aware of that report, and they got to be saying to themselves, who said that? Where did Golden get that from? Who gave that to him? And that can really foster resentment and bad feeling behind the scenes. And so that to me is concerning. When you start seeing that kind of thing out there, again, not the kind of thing we had seen in recent years with the Nats, not the kind of thing really we've had much of with the Nats since the franchise came here. The Nats have been very good at avoiding this kind of thing. But we now have such a thing. And, we'll see if it develops into more such things or if this is just an isolated thing.
Yeah, I think without knowing directly what the reporting method was there, I would just say that my hunch is that there wasn't anything sinister going on there and that it wasn't some high-ranking club official saying, hey, come here, I got something for you, and trying to make it look like there was a problem, with the reaction to the manager. I think that was more a case of canvassing the clubhouse the day after and asking guys, hey, off the record, what did you think of this? And look, I talked to players too, and I can tell you that a good number of them didn't like what Davey said. They shouldn't like what he said. Now, does that mean that he's lost them? No, not necessarily. And as we discussed the other day, this is his 8th year on the job, and this is probably the first time he's slipped up at all to that extent. And the number one thing that he has always had for himself in good times and bad is the support of his players. Has it been shaken a little bit here? Yeah, probably has. I think that's fair to say. Is it enough to suggest that it's such a problem that they have to do something about it? I wouldn't go that far. It boils down to wins and losses ultimately. If they finally start winning some games, this will go away. If they don't, it's going to continue. It rightfully should continue. It looked like on Monday night they were going to rechart things, get it going back in the right direction, and then one bad 9th inning, change it all. And now here we are still going through the same thing again for now, 3 straight days.
Game 2 for the Nats against the Rockies at Nationals Park Tuesday evening at 6:45. Michael Soroka will be the Nats starting pitcher. You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. Hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast. And we'll leave you with something fun off Brady House being promoted to the majors, a Nats Chat Podcast flashback to an episode that was published on July 19th, 2023, off Brady House being promoted to AA-Harrisburg. Take a listen.
With the 11th pick of the 2021 MLB Draft, the Washington Nationals select Brady House, a shortstop from Winder Barrow High School in Winder, Georgia. The Seattle Mariners have the next pick.
Some happier Nats items to get into here. Brady House has been promoted again. The Nats on Tuesday promoted third baseman Brady House from High-A Wilmington to AA-Harrisburg. This marks the second promotion of Brady House in a little more than a month. The Nats on June 9th promoted House from Low-A Fredericksburg to High-A Wilmington. House in 16 games for Wilmington had an OPS of .907. And so just like that, this guy now is soaring through the Nats minor league system. It is so good to see Brady House having the season that he's having. The Nats took House out of a high school in Georgia with the number 11 overall pick in the 2021 MLB draft. This is only his age 20 season. He had that disappointing 2022 season for Fredericksburg that ended in June of 2022 due to a back injury. But he, in the 2022 season for Fredericksburg, 202 plate appearances, an OPS of just .731. He did not look very good for Fredericksburg. He was playing shortstop. He then, beginning with this season, made the transition to being a third baseman. And House, this season for Fredericksburg, 158 plate appearances, OPS of .869. Then he did well for Wilmington, and now he has been promoted to Harrisburg. Are you surprised that the Nats, after just 16 games for House at Wilmington, have bumped him up to AA-Harrisburg? I know you talked to Mike Rizzo prior to Tuesday night's game.
Yeah, I was very surprised. That's not one that I saw coming so quickly, and it's not a move they make very often. I mean, think about Juan Soto as the exception to that rule, where he would spend about 2 weeks at each level before they bumped him up. So that's some pretty good company if you're going to do that. Now, it was interesting that Rizzo told us that he felt like all along House was going to finish this year at AA. He was going to get there eventually. And he just felt like he was performing so well, has taken the third base so well, might as well make the move now and see how he handles it. Now, they know he may struggle at first. It's an aggressive move for a guy who started the year, in low A ball, and now all of a sudden he's at AA. I think it's interesting and maybe not a coincidence that he and James Wood are now going to be teammates for a while. That's certainly the future, two of their brightest offensive prospects that they have. But I mean, he earned it. You can't dispute the numbers. 908 OPS at Wilmington. Like I said, has played a really good third base, and they're really pleased with that development. And I mean, that makes me rethink the whole timeline now on this kid. Now he's 20 years old, like you said, just drafted 2 years ago. And last year was essentially a lost year for him. So you don't want to get too worked up about this, but you get to AA, you're on the cusp. And at minimum, we're going to see him in big league camp next year, along with all these other guys. And there's a chance we see him in the big leagues at some point next season if things progress the way this is going. And that's not necessarily something I was thinking. I was kind of thinking 2025 all along for him. So, I mean, this is really one of the most significant developments for the Nationals in 2023. Brady House, who a lot of people were really concerned about at the end of last year, he has completely reestablished himself as one of the premier prospects in baseball.
That is lined into right center field. That's down for a base hit and more. Cutting it off out in center field is Frazier. House is to second base with his third double tonight.